police in Peel Region are looking into whether street racing may have been a factor in a crash that's killed one person and sent 5 others to hospital. As Nama Weingarten shows us, street racing and dangerous driving has been an ongoing issue Peel is trying to tackle.
This was the scene last night, where Peel police say the male passenger of this van died after the crash, with the woman who was driving taken to hospital with serious injuries. The other car involved, which police describe as an Audi, completely smashed. All 4 people who were inside were sent to hospital with minor injuries. A second Audi also on the scene, but police wouldn't confirm if it was connected to the crash. They say it happened around 12:30 a.m. in the area of Gorewood Drive and Finch Avenue. No charges were laid yet, with police telling us they believe street racing might have played a role.
We are trying to determine if this was linked to this fatal collision, but right now we are in preliminary stages of this investigation and it is too early for us to rule anything out.
Shortly before the crash, a popular Instagram account that's now private posted a story advertising a street race in the area, but police wouldn't confirm whether that's why they made the connection. Now here's what we know so far. Police tell us the Audi was traveling westbound on Steeles Avenue, while the Toyota was going west. Then that Toyota was trying to make a left turn to go into Finch Avenue. And that is when the 2 cars collided. Now, we've been standing here for about 10-15 minutes, and in that short time period that we were here, we actually saw 2 near misses where the same scenario almost plays out, with 1 car going this way and 1 car going west trying to make a left turn with a near crash happening. Police say this is at least the 26th death in Peel because of a major collision this year. In the first half of it, they issued more than 900 charges for stunt driving and racing. And releasing this video just last month, uploaded to social media by a driver who was charged for racing his motorcycle.
Street racing, it is a major issue. And we have given hundreds of stunt charges already this year, but that does not stop from the illegal stunt racing and driving behavior that which some people are practicing out there.
Brampton recently updated its public nuisance bylaw, increasing the fines for street racing, now ranging from $800 to $2,000. But this road safety advocate says more might be needed to curb the issue.
Well, increase in fines is one of those elements where people tend to, have some damping effect. But again, when there is not enough enforcement, or when the, rule of law sometimes takes too long to be put into place, that doesn't help the real action at the ground.
Police are appealing for anyone with information about this crash to contact them. Nama Weingarten, CBC News, Brampton.
Peel police also announcing they've arrested a suspect after a series of sexual assaults in Brampton. From November 8th to the 16th, officers allege a suspect approached victims at a bus stop posing as a rideshare driver. The victims got in the vehicle and the suspect drove them to a separate location before assaulting them. Police now thanking the public for their help, saying, quote, "We want to thank the community for sharing both videos, which assisted our investigators in the arrest of the individual we believe is responsible for these crimes. More information on the arrest will be released in the coming days." Well, talks continue this weekend between Canada Post and the union representing tens of thousands of striking workers. The union president said late tonight Canada Post was also, quote, busy laying off workers.
Go to the picket lines. I see our members. They're very concerned. They've received layoff notices. It's unexplainable. I can't explain it to them. We're on strike. No one's getting paid. Why are you laying off workers?
He also said this round of bargaining has been an all-out attack on the rights and benefits postal workers have fought for decades to achieve. CBC reached out to Canada Post about these comments tonight, and we got back a statement saying, in part, quote, "We've informed employees that their expired collective agreements are no longer in effect, and their terms and conditions of employment have now changed as allowed under the Canada Labour Code." The statement goes on to say, quote, "With our business down significantly, we have taken steps to adjust our operations." Ottawa's plan for those special GST checks next year is irking some Canadian seniors. The government calls it the Working Canadians rebate, and it's that First word that's the problem. People who retired before 2023 won't be getting an extra $250. JP Tasker has more from some of those angry retirees.
Hannah Von Beacom says she's furious retirees are being left out of the federal government's inflation rebate.
Mr. Trudeau, we have worked many years. We paid our taxes. Please do not forget about us because we contributed to the growth of Canada.
Like many Canadians, she is feeling the pinch from higher prices and says it's not fair that she doesn't qualify for the $250 checks the Liberals plan to hand out next spring.
If he wants to buy votes, fine, but include all of us.
The checks will only go to people who worked in 2023 and earned $150,000 or less, more than 18 million people. That means most seniors won't qualify.
I feel forgotten, left out, and I'm unimportant. And I don't want to feel like that.
We're sort of stuck at a fixed income level and falling behind.
It's just totally unfair.
The Prime Minister is pitching the program as a way to put money in the pockets of people who haven't had much help from Ottawa lately.
Over the past number of years, we have been extraordinarily present in helping the most vulnerable Canadians.
Many seniors recently got free dental care. Some families with young kids reduced childcare fees. Justin Trudeau says it's time other Canadians got something from their federal government.
I do regularly hear from working Canadians who are having trouble making ends meet, but saying, look, I don't have kids, I'm not a senior yet, and I'm facing challenges.
It seems like a really desperate political stunt.
This seniors advocate says some pensions haven't kept pace with inflation. He says Ottawa should instead give a 10% boost to old age security payouts.
It would be about $70 a month on an ongoing basis. It doesn't do a lot, but at least it helps try to keep up with the cost of living.
And seniors aren't alone. There have been complaints about the government's planned tax holiday on GST too. Some business owners frustrated with the amount of work it'll take to implement, and some premiers in provinces that have a harmonized sales tax concerned about income they could lose from it. JP Tasker, CBC News, Ottawa.
You may have seen them around your neighborhood, coyotes. It's the season where pups who've grown up over the summer are leaving their dens. Some Toronto residents are now urging the city to step in to protect them and their pets. But as Tyreek Reed shows us, solving the issue may be tougher than they hope.
These coyotes are quite brazen and they're not afraid.
Bianca Tedesco learned that when her dog London was attacked by a coyote just steps outside of her front door.
I didn't realize what was going on until I heard her yelp, and it was very frightening, but thankfully I was able to act immediately. Otherwise, it could have ended very bad.
The attack is just one of many reasons why residents in Liberty Village are sounding the alarm. Neighbors say they've noticed coyotes around the neighborhood every day. Jamie Fine says he and his dog were also approached by one a few weeks ago, but walked away unharmed.
It's concerning knowing that at nighttime you need to be just super vigilant of some animal that could come up and attack your dog that you care about very much. And then, like, if you intervene, it might attack you. Who knows what's going to happen?
It's a concern that's being felt across the city. In Etobicoke, some neighbors around West Dean Park say they've had to stop walking their dogs at night in an attempt to avoid the animals.
There was a pack of 3 that they kind of pursued us, but as soon as we were down by the park at West Dean Park, and as soon as we sort of got out of that area, they left us alone.
A town hall was called to address the issue in the area this past summer, but residents tell me little solutions have been given so far. The city says removing the animals isn't as easy as people may think.
An interaction with a dog by a coyote is not a reason to remove a coyote. The wildlife legislation by the ministry, you can only remove animals a kilometer away. And so for a coyote, they will just come back.
As for lethal removals, the city says that only happens when a human is attacked. Luckily for both them and us.
Attacks on humans are very rare. So I would say be aware, but not be scared.
In the meantime, the city is warning people not to feed coyotes since that will only keep them in the area. They say park staff are working to get rid of garbage and food in parks to get them out quickly. Tyreek Reed, CBC News, Toronto.
There he is, the big guy in red. Torontonians of all ages getting in the festive spirit with a front row seat at the 120th Santa Claus Parade. 27 floats, clowns, and plenty of music too. The parade marching through the city streets for several hours. Now, earlier this month, you'll remember organizers started a GoFundMe campaign saying the annual tradition was at risk of being canceled next year.
You know, we have work to do to make sure that we're a great event that people can be proud to partner with. And we do that, then we'll be able to put on this parade for years to come.
The city is in for 100,000. The province is in. We just need the feds to step up. And the Prime Minister said he's ready to do so. Well, let's do it before this Christmas comes.
Organizers say the campaign has raised more than $75,000. All three levels of government also pledging their support. Sophia joining us now for our first look at the forecast. Sunshine making an appearance at the big parade today, too.
Shannon, thanks for that. Yeah, lots of smiling, happy, and kind of chilly looking faces in the crowds at the Santa Claus Parade. And hey, we're at the freezing mark in the overnight period. And if you think it was chilly out there today, you have another thing coming. We flash forward into the future. Next Sunday, have a look at this cool trough across the majority of the country and have a look at the daytime highs, either at or below the freezing mark, which we haven't been that cold since March 22nd of earlier this year. It's been 8 months since we've had a daytime high below the freezing mark. And not only are we going to have cold to look forward to in this upcoming work week, there's also going to be snow. We talk about welcoming us into winter, especially for those of you north of the Nickel Belt for the first half of this week. And then the back half of this week, there's the chance of a multi-day lake effect snow setup for those of you in the traditional snow belt regions. This is adding insult to injury because, boy, have we been spoiled this past month. The majority of the days, everything you see highlighted in red has been above seasonal. We've had some 20-degree days. In fact, we haven't had even one day, just one day actually, below 7 degrees. This upcoming week, you'll be lucky and hard-pressed to find a day that's above 5 degrees when it comes to your daytime high. This upcoming work week will also come with the parade of systems. Let's call them chapters in this long-range book that we're writing. Chapter 1, a messy system that could bring freezing rain and snow to parts of eastern Ontario. Chapter 2, a short-lived lake effect snow event. The next system, Thursday into Friday, could just clip Ottawa with a little bit of snow. And then that multi-day cold lake effect event and below seasonal temperatures for the back half of this work week. We'll detail all of it for you in the long range. Shannon.
Ontario is now part of the National School Food Program. The Prime Minister announcing the details in Brampton on Friday.
We've now reached a deal that's going to deliver healthy meals to 160,000 Ontario kids more over the coming year. This is a huge difference. We're talking about close to 10 million meals just for the rest of this school year.
And one more number for you, more than $100 million is coming to the province for school meals over the next 3 years. That money could make a big difference in many regions, including in the Simcoe-Muskoka Catholic Board, where none of the high schools there have a working cafeteria. Joining me now is Scott Gorecki. He's the Superintendent of Student Success Engagement and Learning with the board. Thanks for being here with us, Scott.
No problem. Good evening.
So I know more details are still to come on this announcement, but what could this funding mean for the schools in your board?
Well, I've been following this, the announcement by the federal government last spring, and then followed up by our provincial government. And I'm really anxious to hear the details and the potential opportunities that it might bring for food service provision in our elementary and our secondary schools.
Yeah, we mentioned, that none of your high schools have a functioning cafeteria. They closed during the pandemic and have yet to reopen. And you've used this time to survey students and parents. What did you hear from them?
We got some really good information back from our students and our families, and they indicated that they would like food service provision in our schools with a variety of options that are affordable.
And what you found, though, is you're having a hard time finding operators. Is that right?
Yes. So we took that data that we got and we went out to the market in a request for proposals, but unfortunately, there were no responses from that. And even in our discussions with some potential operators, they've indicated that they just don't feel that there is business there that would support their business model.
And we were chatting earlier, and part of that, if I'm correct, is that there's these healthy eating requirements from the province, and that is adding to some of the challenges, right? They're finding it a little restrictive on what can be offered?
Yeah, so the government introduced PPM, or Policy and Program Memorandum 150, and it outlines the requirements for food that is served in our schools, primarily focusing on whole grains, fruits, vegetables, healthy fats, and caffeine, sugars, and refined products are not permitted.
Right. So good intentions there, but it is having sort of this impact on bringing food into schools. I know this is an area that you are super passionate about. Just talk to us about the importance and what it means to students for having food offered at school.
Well, I mean, we absolutely know that we all need food to fuel our bodies and minds. And we know that having adequate nutrition available for students contributes to well-being and achievement. And having that provided through the school is one way to ensure that all students, regardless of the situation that they find themselves in, have access to this to support them in learning.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes so much sense. As you're waiting on proposals and waiting to hear more information on this new federal funding, are there any, stopgap solutions that you're considering in the meantime?
What we've done as kind of our plan B in the interim is we've gone out in our local communities and each of the communities that our high schools are in, and we've let the local, caterers and businesses know that we would certainly like to partner with them. And even if they can't commit to widespread provision across all of our 9 high schools over a large geographic area, if they could even commit or they would like to try out at a low risk in any one of our locations.
Yeah, so there's big hopes and optimism. I know you are looking forward to learning more. We appreciate you joining us and sharing all of your insight with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
That's Scott Gorecki. He's with the Simcoe Muskoka Catholic District School Board. He's joining us from Midland on the shores of Georgian Bay. This week begins today with doctors, hospitals, and support services all launching awareness campaigns. The Canadian Centre for Substance Use and Addiction says the week highlights solutions to help address harms. One doctor saying she hopes efforts go beyond this 1 week, adding there's more to addiction than overdose.
While overdose is extremely visible and awful and painful socially, personally, etc., it's the tip of the iceberg. And we need to look at what's happening underneath that. Is there's many people who are experiencing some degree of problematic use. Maybe they're even just using recreationally and it's not an issue. But if left unattended, if left unappreciated and not discussed, then it can trend towards the kind of visible crisis that we're seeing right now. It's really easy to label and stigmatize people who use drugs as being addicts and not recognize that they're also brothers and sisters, their children, their parents, their colleagues, their teachers. We need to look below the surface and ask not why is this person using drugs, but what is the problem? What is the problem they are trying to solve that they don't have the resources to address? To have a week is great. We're going to bring some attention to the crisis. And hopefully that'll drive support, communication, probably dollars. But this can't be a single moment. And addictions are not like that. They are progressive and they are relapsing and remitting condition. And so to imagine that just 1 week is enough is short-sighted. We need to be running a marathon, not a sprint.
Sophia is back bringing a triple whammy: frost, cool temperatures, and even snow. Time to pull out all the gear, Sophia.
I am not ready for it at all. The main headline for this upcoming work week is, yes, the winter jackets have to come back out. And what a rude awakening, because we have barely been below seasonal at all this past month. Enjoy Monday while you can. It's really the last day for the next foreseeable future that you're at least close to the seasonal average. That cold air on the doorstep along with some active weather. Let's break this up again as the sordid book that we're writing for this active weather we have this upcoming work week, chapter by chapter, okay? Chapter 1, this first frontal system coming in from the prairies with some cold air to the north. It will bring rain to the south, a period of mixing to areas in parts of cottage country, and some snow even in parts of Ottawa, maybe a quick couple centimeters before a changeover to rain Monday into Tuesday. And then throughout Wednesday, we open up the doors for a short-lived lake effect snow event as this colder air is beginning to set in. It isn't until after this next system, though, that we get really cold. Here it is, Thursday into Friday. This coastal system will just clip the Ottawa and Montreal region, maybe with another quick few centimeters, and then it really opens the floodgates for this northwest flow. It's the perfect setup with the cooler air over the really warm lake still for a multi-day lake effect snow event. Luckily, these bands aren't locking in, but have a look. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right until Monday, the chance for many of you in the traditional snowbelt regions to clock in quite a few centimeters and really look like a winter wonderland with snow that will be sticking around for multi-days, because that daytime high is quite chilly. This will not be melting on impact for some areas in the snowbelt regions. And then for some in the north, you will see snow for the first half of this work week. If you are not seeing snow, one of the lucky individuals, you will see the below seasonal conditions, even daytime highs below the freezing mark. Remember what a warm month it was. Yes, it's been above seasonal. The time now is done. Time now to put on your winter tires if you haven't, and maybe book a trip down south with me. What do you think, Shannon?
Perfect advice. And when you look at those numbers, we really have been spoiled. Thanks, Sophia. That's it for us. As we go, we want to take you to Mississauga, where Celebration Square is looking very festive. Beautiful. The big reveal happening Saturday evening at Light Up the Square. The winter magic stretches through the holidays with art installations on through the new year. That's it for us. We'll see you soon.